Well, initially, it was snowing quite heavily. Well, thousands of servicemen paraded through the square. It is the 79th anniversary of Victory Day and an opportunity for the country to put some of its military capability on display. But of course, many Russian troops are fighting in Ukraine after the full-scale invasion in 2022. Now, it was all watched on by President Putin, who then addressed the crowds and said that Russia's forces remain combat ready.
Russia will do everything it can to prevent global confrontation. But at the same time, we will not allow anyone to threaten us. Our strategic forces are always on combat alert.
Bringing our Moscow correspondent Ivor Bennett for more on this. And that's just a little excerpt of the speech, of course, that he gave, Ivor, I imagine, where, without any irony, he talked about being threatened, despite the fact that he's the one that invaded a neighbour.
Yeah, very much so. This was an attempt to essentially justify Russia's current course of aggression and paint Russia as the victim, paint Russia as fighting a defensive war. And in that same breath as saying that Russia will do all it can to avoid global confrontation and global war, he also said that they will not let anyone threaten us, and said that Russia's forces are always combat ready. So very much iron fist in a velvet glove, trying to portray Russia as a peaceful nation, but with a very pugnacious undertone. This was a pared down ceremony compared to previous years, only 61 pieces of military hardware compared to 200 normally in Ukraine war times. Only one tank took part, the T-34, a World War II era war machine. That's because all the modern machinery, of course, is being used at the front. But that didn't stop the celebrations on Red Square today. The parade was full of pomp and ceremony. The highlight of the parade, as it were, was the Yars intercontinental ballistic missile launcher, which thundered through the square at the end of the parade. Still, with the whole parade seen as really a big kind of show of military might, military muscle for the Kremlin. Ostensibly, it is about commemorating the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany in 1945. But that's not the only conflict, clearly, that Vladimir Putin wanted Russia and Russians to think about. He also ensured the current conflict in Ukraine was at the forefront of people's minds, paying tribute to the bravery of those taking part. Units from the so-called special military operation also joined in the parade. And the idea, of course, is to conflate these two wars, the World War II and the current war in Ukraine, so people in Russia view them in the same way, that Russia is on the defensive and on the right side of history.